Welcome to another episode of Total Athlete Tuesday. I'm Daniel,
And I'm Dan.
and we're here doing our part to help you grow into total athletes, well developed mentally, physically, and spiritually. And here in San Antonio, with Athletes in Action, we're studying through the book of Ephesians. And we've come now to one of the most consequential, best gospel presentations in the entire Bible, Ephesians 2, 1 through 10. Dan, you want to talk a little bit about how that shows how we're saved?
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than Ephesians 2, 1 to 10. I mean, there's a couple other passages that are right up there, John 3:16, maybe a couple passages in Romans, but you get to Ephesians 2, 8, 9, 10. I mean, this is central.
Oh, yeah.
So we got, in the study, we had a question, and it says, why do you think verse 9 can feel especially hard for people to embrace, and especially for athletes? And verse 9 says that salvation is not by works so that no one can boast. Not by works so that no one can boast. And honestly, I think the reality is that in every other area of life, it's almost all by work. It's by what we do. It's our effort brings us results.
Yeah.
I like what Cole said last night. He says, if I get good enough, I deserve to start. That doesn't translate to heaven. Shout out Cole. That was fire. So it's not by works, so no one can boast. But what's not by works? So then we back up one verse, and this is what verse 8 says. It's a fine point. For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this not from yourselves. It's the gift of God. So what is grace? Grace is a free gift. It's undeserved favor. Undeserved, you can't buy it, you can't earn it, and God gives you this gift.
Yeah.
And you've been saved. Okay, so what are we saved from?
Really, essentially verses 1 through 3 in Ephesians 2 lays this out, that we're saved from the result of our sin, which is separation from God, spiritual death.
Yep.
And it paints the picture of how before we were saved by Christ, we were walking the same direction as the rest of the world,
Everybody
straight
else.
towards destruction. And even not just following our own selfish desires, but following Satan,
The
who
world.
is
Yep.
the king of this world in this current fallen state. And yeah, we're saved from what we earn from a life of sin. I love how Romans 3:23 says it, where it says, for the wages of sin is death. And really, death, separation from God, is what you earn from a life of doing things that displease God.
So it's this undeserved gift, this free gift that saves us from, just simply put, it's a penalty of our sin.
Yeah.
But how do we get that gift? How do we take it? How does it become ours? And that's, according to this verse, it's through faith.
Yeah.
So I like to describe faith as it's like a chair. It's like one of our stools. We walked in this morning and we looked at those stools, and in our heads we knew that the stool would hold us up. Faith is when we actually got up here and sat on the stool. Okay, faith is putting your trust and your confidence in something, and in this verse, it's in the finished work of Christ.
Yeah.
So the finished work of Christ, we put our faith in that, and we're saved then from the penalty of our sin because it's by a free gift of grace from the Lord. Yeah. But we don't want to forget about verse 10.
Yeah, exactly. And verse 10 says, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. And so if you're in that position where you have said yes to Jesus, you've received his grace, you've been forgiven, you've been given new life, brought into God's family, now he says, now at this point is where work comes in. I have good things that I want you to do that are specific to you, specific to me, specific to you. That, we're each in a specific group of people, a specific address, specific family, where God says, hey, I have things that I want you to do that are not for really anyone else to do. They're for you.
Right. And that, that's what one of our principles, victory beyond competition, is sort of shows up in this verse.
Yeah.
in our study, it says this: God has good things planned for you to do. Part of that is how you compete and act as an athlete, but it's so much more than that. You have a purpose that transcends your sport. Be on the lookout for that. Now, I love this analogy you were telling me about earlier.
Yeah.
So share that analogy, because that was great.
So at church on Sunday at Wayside Chapel, we had a guest speaker who's a missionary from the Middle East. And he was sharing about how in that culture, it's very common still to be a shepherd with a flock of sheep. And the Bible repeatedly compares God to the good shepherd. So he contrasts a bad shepherd or a hired hand or a thief with a good shepherd. And when a mother sheep, has little baby sheep, little lambs, she can care for one or two lambs, but pretty often she'll have triplets. And what she does is she looks at those lambs and says, okay, these two are healthier, stronger, and that third one is kind of weak. I'm going to kick him away, not give him milk, not give him care. And so literally he'll come up to nurse and she'll kick him away. And that lamb will go off and kind of resign to his fate, head hung low.
This is so sad.
Go off to hide.
So sad.
Hide under a bush to die, really. But that's where the good shepherd comes in. He knows that there was a third lamb, and he finds that lamb hiding under that bush, head hung low, and he picks up that lamb, carries him back to his home, brings him into his family, and then slowly nurses that lamb back to health, bottle feeding, grooming him, like developing a real relationship with that lamb. And eventually, that lamb gets healthy and strong and gets sent back to the flock. And what's different about this lamb now is that he's not a little weakling anymore. And he actually has that relationship with the shepherd to where when the shepherd calls out for the sheep, who's the first one to respond?
Yeah.
It's that little lamb that was rejected and has now been brought into the family, and a relationship has developed where that lamb responds first, and he's now the leader of the flock. And in the same way, God saves us from certain death, separation from him by his grace. And then once he develops that relationship with us, he saves us. Now he calls us to go back to wherever we're from and be bringers of his love, of his light, and to do those good works that he's called for us, always with an ear open to his voice. Like listening, what is he going to call us to do? And so I was very struck by that analogy, just of how God has that care for you and for me. And that's almost one of the prerequisites, not almost, it is one of the prerequisites for being in a relationship with God, is realizing you can't earn it. You don't deserve it. And we need to come to that place of humility to realize, God, I need you. I need your forgiveness. I need your grace, because on my own, I'm making a wreck of my life. And so when I receive that gift by faith, and then the page turns, and now we have a life of purpose, a life of meaning that stretches from now into eternity, that it doesn't end, when you have to retire from your sport. It doesn't end when you're done with college or you think you've already peaked and you're downhill. That purpose lasts all the way into eternity.
Because at that point, now we know Jesus' voice. And once we know the voice of the shepherd, then we get to follow in whatever he calls us to. And that really is those good works, that purpose that transcends sport, transcends, it is a purpose that lasts our entire life. And honestly, into eternity. That's
so beautiful.
Well,
thank you so much for listening along, and we invite you to join us next week if you're locally here in San Antonio. But may God bless you, and we just challenge each of y'all to consider, have I really responded to this offer of grace that God offers me? If not, what's holding you back? Have a good day.